Now the ConocoPhillips Oil Company executive order for Donald J. Trump, the president of the primary election. We got this afterburner, cleans all the crude oil expenditures service to make it a purified product. You can see the purified product from ConocoPhillips and Stratford Road and Moses Lake carries a consequences of making the presidential primary election tariffs more satisfied and more clients to be satisfied for the product that's transported and reused and brought to transport billions and billions of gallons of fuel to over turf, which gives it a platform that's brought this malnutritioned planet because of the COVID authorization of epidemic of COVID to bring satisfactions to executive order bringing promise to the United States of America. Now, tariffs give you no false testimony, which is true testimony, because Donald Trump was assassinated July 13, 2024, bringing millions upon millions and billions of residency and U.S. citizenship to business owners, small business owners, corporate business owners, lawyers, judges, doctors, to emergency to bring authorization for executive order to transport a more sufficient and also a balance of quality control on services that provides administration office at McKenna Law Firm, which is John Luke McKenna, Carla McKellen, and that's 704 East Olive, 509-765-4451, fax 509-765-6019. Now, yesterday, July 2nd and then July 3rd, the afterburner kicked on. The face recognition, the activation of that Microsoft company, Mr. Bill Gates at 1873rd Medina Avenue, 1831, Bill Gates, William H. Gates, owner of Apple and Microsoft, purchase and transactions, and also the Exxon Mobil called ConocoPhillips on Stratford Road, that afterburner kicks on. See, that afterburner kicks on for the reason for that tariffs that's been implemented. Trillions and trillions of dollars, American dollars, has been transported and deposited and accounted for. Now, something was missing in the books. Now, the McKenna Law Firm at 509-765-4451 on the accounting books and procedures on audits and services and direct deposit and inventories. All that transcript information data is coming from this afterburner. The fuel, the transport, the mileage, CDO license requirements, the Moses Lake Department of Motor Vehicles carries a affidavit, a data processor, and direct EFT transactions. It shows where all the fuel and expenditures, services, and policy and activations and service and direct deposits show. Kicks on this afterburner on, showing them part of the executive order by Donald J. Trump, the 45th president, and the 47th. Now him, Melania Trump, Ivanka Trump, Eric Trump, Donald Trump, them stopping building and killing Donald Trump and the presidential primary election, and Donald J. Trump Jr. running for president, and they didn't think that Donald Trump was going to live a being assassinated on July 3rd of 2024. Now, 2025, the next following presidential primary election that carries executive order, now John Hazen McKinnon, born 1950 in November 1950. It's 704 East Olive, Mills Lake, Washington, 509-765-4451, transmitting the information. From a law firm, the Washington Bar Association, 13294, Bob Ferguson, Attorney General's Office in Kennewick, Washington, Teresa Salo, and also Brian, Bob Ferguson, Attorney General's Office, which is a natural propane company, a PUD building that we walked in and YouTube, and the Kennewick Police Department YouTubed and photographed, and the J. Mueller's Funeral Home in Kennewick, Washington, 1401 South Main, and the Pasco, 1620 West Court Street. There's a jet engine, there's fuel, there's railroad cars that transported fuel into the railroad cars, which we did that on UURL video at Warden, Washington. We got the transcript information receipts transported to Othello, Washington, which is fuel, and also nuclear plutonium that's used on containers for the railroad system, launched and transported to the Richland nuclear site, the Hammer Mill. Takes all the nuclear plutonium and melts it down and converts it into an atom smasher, and then converts it into particles that are not from this. It's not indicated on the element chart. If you take a sample of it, the elements on the chart is unknown. So that executive order stopping Donald Trump from being the president of the United States of America, and then having his presidencies eradicated, having Donald Trump and the siblings administration office of Melania, Donald Trump, Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Laura Trump. And Laura Trump is a federal judge. She passed away. Melania Trump, her biological mother passed away. So we got logging information at McCann Law Firm at 509-765-4451. Fax 509-765-6019. Now, Eric I. Singer, Norma Rodriguez, and Ryan Luxton from City Hall in Richland, and the Benton County Justice Department, 7112 Okanagan Place. We did that on the Blue Bridge webinar. The Washington State Trooper Association and their services of district and vice presidency and 1 through 8 district offices, and the services and policy regulations that direct the EFT transaction. Now, that service of a nuclear containment plant, the Hammer Atom Smasher, the Hammer Mill in Richland, Washington, transporting and doing that YouTube URL at Warden, Washington, and Mr. Carla and John Luke McKinnon driving me to Bill Gates 1835 73rd Avenue to bring that Air Force One competition of taking Donald Trump to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, so he can have that contract and the United States protect Saudi Arabia. They got a contract protecting Saudi Arabia for any tribal and legal procedures, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Caliphate, and Taliban leaders, and Hamas in their service and policy regulation, their service Iraq, Afghanistan, Northern Province, Shelties, all these services and policy in India. Modi, President of India. Amir Singh, now here at CIMARON 514 East Main Street. Now, Sand and Son on Pioneer Way in Moses Lake, Washington, which is a Ford company. You know, bringing Ford company and bringing fence line and barbed wire fence and more procedure and protection over the policy, regulation, and service of bringing implemented service of a contract in Qatar, transporting Donald Trump to make $1 trillion contract with Boeing, Northrop, and Grumman, building the F-47 and transporting it to the Blue Bridge, the Columbia Center, Congo Lamb Weston boat race weekend, and demonstrating with the F-22 35 Lightning stealth fighter jet, and also the Raptor 22, and the F-47, and of course the service and policy regulation of downloading the processing of society policy of the corruption that they have, suffering the consequences of building a nuclear bomb and having deterrence and services and overriding and overthrowing the government, and bringing their testimony and services live here at Eric I. Singer, Norma Rodriguez, Ryan Ludson, and of course Mr. Governor Bob Ferguson, Jay Inslee, Marcus J. Glassberg, Department of Licensing, and also the policy, regulation, and service of John Hazen McKinnon. 509-765-4451, fax 509-765-6019. This is live testimony, coming to you live.